This push to unify the party. And Donald Trump holding another rally today, this time in Anaheim, California. You're looking at live pictures. Police promised that there would be arrest if the protesters got out of hand. And you're looking right now at a standoff between the police, and protesters, and it's been getting ugly. So we're going to stay on that. Of course, more protests outside of the Anaheim rally tonight. Now, the presumptive nominee hoping, of course, to gain some traction in the key swing state of California. But this chaos from last night's rally in New Mexico and now the growing violence that could be escalating even here in California, really driving the news narrative. And a lot of people think it's also perhaps going to help Donald Trump. Let's bring in a panel to discuss. Joining me now, Tammy Bruce, Gina Loudon, Steve Rogers, and Adam Goodman. Gina, I got to go out to you. This is your neck of the woods. We saw the crazy violence in New Mexico. Once again, protesters getting out of control to the point of attacking the police. I even saw where one of the police horses had to be put down because his leg was broken today.
Wow. And where are the animal rights activists on this one, Charles?
We're the human rights activists. Listen, we all, and I don't mean to cut you off, Gina, but this is nuts. Listen, we understand the right to protest. We understand the First Amendment. But what we saw last night was ugly, pure ugly riots, un-American. And listen, I know from a political point of view, it helps Donald Trump.
It does help Donald Trump because this is the system, and there's nothing more fun than beating the system, to quote him. Charles, this is what I want to know. Two things. Number one, where are the prosecutors with spinal cord? This is not the same thing. A protest is not the same thing as a violent riot. We need to start distinguishing that in our narrative, and we need to call on people like Debbie Wasserman Schultz of the DNC, like Hillary Clinton, all right, like Bernie Sanders, and of course all the GOP leadership to start calling on prosecutors to prosecute these crimes. They arrest them and then nothing ever happens. I myself I hope that Mr. Trump will demand a record from all of the people who have been arrested, what exactly happened to them after they've created violence at these free speech events, because this is not about free speech. This is about violence and crime, and it needs to be prosecuted. You
know, on that note, Steve, violence, crime, prosecution, you're a law enforcement expert. A lot of people are saying this is a continuation of the so-called Ferguson effect, where police have been told to stand down, and this is what we get. We get pure chaos, and chaos begets chaos.
Yes, it does. And Charles, these are not protesters. They're thugs. They're criminals, like Donald Trump said. And as you just said, it's un-American. To burn the flag of the United States of America and fly the Mexican flag is everything that Donald Trump was telling us would happen. And you're right. When you opened up, does it help Donald Trump? They assured him an election to the presidency of the United States.
You know, Tammy, here's the irony. The mainstream media, the liberal media, actually talking about Donald Trump's speech today and saying that when he called to protest outside criminal, that he was in fact making the point for the so-called protesters, that he was in fact justifying their actions by calling their First Amendment rights criminal.
Yeah.
So you talk about enabling or actually encouraging this stuff.
Yeah, look, in none of the media coverage will you see any interest at all in asking who these thugs are, because they don't like the answers. I would also like to know, when it comes to those who are arrested, who are citizens and who are illegal aliens. It's literally un-American in this case. And these are the things that the American voter is tired of, that they don't like what they see. They've seen this over and over again now for 8 years. We do not want a continuation of this. Hillary is prompting some of this. This is, of course, it's the Democrat Party. It's liberals in general. It's the unions. It's Bernie Sanders people. It's the whole host of people who are attached to the Democrat Party. So I need to see Republicans stand against this. You know, where's Paul Ryan? We need to see Democrats come out against it. Nobody is, and the media is just ignoring it entirely.
Charles,
we're going to have our riot in November of this year. It's going to be very quiet, and it's going to be in the voting booth.
One important point that has to be made. These individuals, these thugs, these criminals, do not represent the Latino and Hispanic community, in my view, in this country. There are hardworking Latinos, hardworking people in the Hispanic community that don't deserve this. And those are the people we really should be listening to, that hardworking American citizen.
No, Adam, I got to tell you, although it's not a funny matter, I will say I got a chuckle when I saw a still photograph of one of the protesters / rioters wearing a Free El Chapo shirt. To me, that said it all, to Steve's point. I don't know who these people are, but I bet Tammy's right. I bet you over half of them probably aren't even here legally.
And let's not forget,
That's
Charles,
funny.
these people are being paid too. George Soros is bankrolling this. Let's not forget that that's happening. This is all part of the Democrat machine that wants to defeat Donald Trump. These people, I bet if you did man on the street interviews with these people, they don't even know any issue.
Well, they don't. You're right.
They're being paid.
That's been proven over and over again, Adam, to Gina's point.
Okay, you want the bottom line in all this, Charles?
Sure.
Look, passion that breeds engagement is healthy, right? We all believe in that. But engagement that breeds violence is not. And the one thing I think that's already been mentioned, I think it was by Tammy, is that you have to call it for what it is. When things turn violent like this, there was actually an edict, I think a flyer, distributed by the Anaheim Police Department. Get this, they distribute a flyer to tell the protesters, to kind of remind them that they're not going to tolerate burning, looting, or violence. I mean, that is out of control. That's wrong. And I think all the candidates, frankly, in the race should call it for what it is. It is not the way that we constitutionally should express ourselves, and most importantly, it should not be a replacement for the passion that has driven this election into the living rooms and beyond all over America and has gotten people really excited, tuned in and engaged. That's good, but not the violence.
Just as a note, no matter who the nominee would be, it could have been Jeb Bush in having some meeting or an event. This is the Democrat plan through the summer and through the convention and up to Election Day. As a former leftist organizer, as a community organizer,
you know the modus operandi.
This was clear starting last year. This is what you're going to see. They're going to try to make it all about that Trump or whoever the nominee was going to be is provoking it. They want to have it be about racial divisions. They want to have repeats of what they saw as Obama's success. The problem is we're done. We're over. All the time, the left pushes too much, and they don't know when to stop because they're not interested in stopping.
Gina, I caught the beginning of Donald Trump's event in Anaheim, and one of the first things he talked about was trying to create jobs for African Americans, particularly the youth. He gave great props to Mexicans and Mexican citizens, and that's the stuff you won't obviously hear in the mainstream media. And it really does feel like they're complicit with anything that we see. If we see cities go up in flames, the mainstream media has got to take a large part of the blame.
The mainstream media does, but you know what else? On the local level, these prosecutors need to be held accountable to do their jobs. If these people were arrested, and there have been arrests at many of these rallies, where are the Black Lives Matter protesters that were arrested for violence? Today, if I'm pulled over in my car and I push a cop or I break glass and it falls on a police officer's foot, I'll be taken in and I'll be prosecuted. Why aren't these things happening when they're happening?
We'll bail you out. Don't worry.
The police have done an extraordinary job in showing restraint, but even they are going to reach the end of their rope.
Well, last night, Steve, I mean, watching this and watching them being pelted and really accosted by this crowd and restraining themselves, that speaks to training and so many other things. And it's really extraordinary.
Yes, it is. And what troubled me last night in channel surfing, I ran into one of the competitive stations, and it troubled me that the host of that show said, well, there isn't much violence. Only a cop got hit by a rock or a horse got hurt. This is what the mainstream media is doing. But the police are doing an extraordinary job. But sooner or later, they're really going to have to do their job. And that's what I hope doesn't happen, because when they do, there'll be mass arrests.
The political fallout, obviously, the progressive, wealthy progressives like George Soros behind this. But have they made the calculation that this is going to get them the White House?
Oh, they think so, absolutely. I mean, they saw it help. Obama did not do badly by using this as a divisionary tool in the country. And they think that it also, look, they have no other way to engage. They're not right on the issues. They know where the nation's going. They want to try to intimidate and bully people, and then also to frighten their own base, because they're losing their own base as well. And you're right. This is not about the average Hispanic in this country. These are organized, professional individuals and individuals who are being paid, who this is what they do for a living.
Right, and that goes to Adam's point about passion, or in this case, maybe Fox passion. Guys, we got to take a break. We're going to come back.